Hi, this is Amy, and this is week 2, and this is my initial discussion post. And this week's discussion was really interesting, in my opinion. First of all, the book I chose going through all of the selections was a story called A Friend Like You by Frank Murphy. And I chose it because I had a conversation today with a coworker whose niece is kind of going through some identity um, not really issues, but she's just kind of questioning things. And this story just really depicts um, the most important relationship that we have, and that's our friendships. I guess maybe not the most important, but friendships. And it's the book itself. I wish I had pictures to show you, but the pictures were beautiful. It showed children of all races and sizes and disabilities playing and being friends and sticking up for each other. And I just really think it's so important in on my campus in my learning center. I have a group of friends come over, and it's just like a melting pot of different types of children. And some of them aren't so nice to each other. So I think this book is in my Amazon cart, and I think I'm going to read it for my read aloud for that assignment. And I'm going to, really keep that, front like up there and read it to my children, because it just shows just how important having a friend is and being kind to each other. And then so I listened to it, and then I went to the tools, the Lexile score, and that is so fascinating. I was trying to figure out how to get the score for this book, but I was running out of time. But that is a really neat tool, and it kind of makes us aware of the books that we are choosing for our students. If we find ourselves choosing just one type of book, one genre, depicting one type of family or color, as when I was a child, when I was growing up, all of our stories were a white family, mother and dad, two children, usually a boy and a girl, and a dog, white picket fence. And we didn't question that. Um, so again, this book is amazing, and I just want to keep looking. Um, so it's just a good book. It's a fun book, and you can really use it for any age because the message is very important, and it's across the board, a message for everybody. One of the things that it talks about, how things have changed from when I was in school. Again, like I said, it was, it was very just no diversity whatsoever. When I taught preschool and when I have my own classroom, hopefully soon, I always made it a point to go to the library and pick books that showed all types of families and colors, fiction books, nonfiction books, things, just to catch the eye for everybody. And I think that's really important because that does bring a lot of diversity into the classroom. And also have showing books about friendships. And some books, they weren't the happiest books, some sad books just to teach the children, a little bit of empathy, and maybe, show them that, there is a little bit of sadness, but there's a way to help and be kind for each other. And then with this book, I don't really know if there's a connection between my implicit bias, but I was really thinking really hard. We all do, we have implicit biases, but what is mine? And mine happens to be, and I'm dealing with it pretty much every day. Last year on Zoom, we had, when we did our lessons, we had a student whose father was always in the background. Sometimes he was in the background working out on an exercise bike, but he would come over, and when his child was writing, he would grab that pen out and he'd like, you do it this way. And but then he'd get on, he's like, she is just so much smarter than everyone. Why is she in this group? And it just really made for a toxic, not so fun environment. When I have the student in person, and it's hard to separate her as this child, this innocent child, and her father, who just always made it really difficult and uncomfortable. And I have to catch myself, and I really am working on to make sure that I call on her and I include her, because sometimes it's just so easy to fall back to think about what a jerk her dad was. But she's a lovely little girl. So I think I really need to work on that. And when I'm planning my activities and such, I when for her group, I really try to find things, that she's in, all the group, but things that she's interested in, just make me pay attention to her more, engage with her more. So I think that's kind of what I do for her. And my experience in selecting diverse text and how that connects with equitable ELA instruction. I just think that my experience is, in order to reach everybody and to engage everybody in my groups, I have to have diversity in my stories. I have a really good friend who has written some wonderful books. African American woman. She was my boss. She turned out to be a good friend of mine. Every time she writes a new children's book, it's one of the what she said, it's one of the first books I read to my students, and I read them all through. And I just think that I've learned a lot over the years. When I started years and years ago in my 20s, I'm pretty sure I had one set of books, one set of style books. This discussion has really given me a lot to think about, and I appreciate you listening to me. And please check out A Friend Like You, that is written by Frank Murphy. I think it's just a wonderful story. It does show a lot of diversity, a lot of friendships. And I thank you very much. You have a good rest of your day and week. And we're almost halfway through. Bye-bye.